All right, we just finished up this problem, so we're now going to move to a little bit different aspect of circumference and area. The value of pi, 3.14, comes from the ratio of 22 to 7. If you take 22 to 7 and treat it like a fraction or a division problem and divide it, 22 divided by 7 gives you 3.14, 285.71, and it just keeps on going. So what we do is called truncating it. We truncate it to 3.14. So what we want to do here is we want to find the diameter of a circle with a circumference of 88 feet. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug in everything into the formula. So we have circumference equals pi times diameter. We know here that we're trying to find the diameter. It says, what is the diameter? So the diameter on this problem is what is unknown. It's not the circumference. It tells us here our circumference is 88 feet. So for the circumference, I'm going to put 88 feet. And for the value of pi, we're going to use 22 over 7. So I'm going to say 22 over 7. And what we don't understand or what we don't know is the diameter. So we're trying to solve for the diameter. So what we have is the equation, 88 equals 22 sevenths d. So, just like any equation, we're solving for the variable. So in this case, we're solving for the diameter. So what we're going to do is this equation has a fraction. The way that we clear the fraction is we're going to take that fraction and we're going to multiply it by its reciprocal. And when we multiply it by its reciprocal, remember equations, what you do to one side of the equation, you do the same thing to the other side. So if I multiply by its reciprocal of 7 over 22, I have to do the same thing over here. Multiply it by 7 over 22. And the way this cancels out, those two 22s cancel out, those two 7s cancel out, so that leaves the letter D, variable D, for diameter. And so I now have 7 over 22 times 88 over 1. And what I can do is I can simplify if I want to. We can look at that and tell that 2 can go into 22 11 times, 2 can go into 88 44 times. So I can just keep on simplifying if it will. So 11 can go into 11 one time, 11 can go into 44 4 times. So it leaves me now with 7 on top, 4 on top, and 1 on the bottom. So I multiply my top numbers to get 28. Multiply by bottom numbers and I get 1. So 28 over 1 equals 28. So what that represents is a diameter of 28 feet. So that is a type of problem where you're actually finding the diameter instead of finding the circumference. So I'm going to highlight a couple things here. If you will work through this problem, copying the information down, and use this as your example when you have to find the diameter instead of just finding the circumference. All right, this next thing, this is something that is very simple, but it's also kind of different because students aren't used to it. You're going to see something that's written or typed in on the question. So it's going to say, in terms of pi, or to find the exact area or circumference. So it may ask you to find the area of a circle, circumference of a circle, in terms of pi. Or it may say, find the exact area or circumference. When you're asked to find an answer in terms of pi, excuse me, or the exact area of circumference, we do not use 3.14. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to use the pi symbol. So we're going to use this right here. We're just going to use the symbol in the problem. All right, so the way a question may be read is it may say, find the area of a circle with a diameter of 10 in terms of pi. Or it may say, find the exact area of a circle with a diameter of 10. And I just realized I just misspelled diameter. So you'll notice how these two are written. They say the same thing for the most part, but it's how they're worded. This one says find the area of a circle with a diameter of 10 in terms of pi. And this one says find the exact area. The way that we're going to do this is we're going to find the area. I'm going to use the formula pi r squared. instead of substituting 3.14, we're just going to use the symbol pi. So I'm going to leave the pi symbol in the problem. All right, we know it has a diameter of 10. So if we have a diameter of 10, we know the radius would be half of that, which would be 5. So our radius is 5 squared, or the radius is 5 and we're going to square it. And that gives us 25 when we square it. And we're going to leave the pi symbol. And this is what makes it easy, because we do not have to multiply times 3.14. And what we're going to do is just going to rewrite it so that the number comes first and put the pi symbol after it. So our answer would be the area with a 10, with a diameter of 10, would have an area of 25 pi. So our answer here is 25 pi. So that is how we would find something in terms of pi or exact area. So again, when finding something in terms of pi or exact area or exact circumference, what we're going to do is we're going to leave the pi symbol in the problem. Do not use 3.14. And what happens a lot of times with students is they forget to leave the pi symbol and they actually substitute 3.14. But we're not going to substitute 3.14. All right, this one says, what is the area of a circle with a radius of 3.2? Leave your answer in terms of pi. So let's work on this one. It has a radius of 3.2 meters, so if you will copy that part down, and if you'll copy that in terms of pi. So I'm going to write down some information here. We know our radius is 3.2. We know our diameter. Since our radius is halfway, our diameter is all the way across, so it would be double, so it would be 6.4 meters. And it wants us to find the area. So our area is pi r squared. And since it wants us to find it in terms of pi, we're going to leave the pi symbol in there. We're going to take our radius, 3.2, and square it. Now, since we're only finding the radius, we don't need this diameter. But I just went ahead and did that anyway. So we're going to leave the pi symbol, and we do 3.2 times 3.2. And so when we square 3.2, you get 10.24. So our answer here would be 10.24 pi meters squared. Now, since it's here, we always have to put the square at the end. So it's 10.24 meters squared. So if you'll copy this down, so you'll have another example. So you should have plenty of examples when it comes time for you doing your work. All right, I want you to try this one. It says the diameter of an eye of a certain hurricane was 30 miles. So you don't need to copy everything. So let's just say diameter was 30 miles. And we want to the nearest square mile, what was the area of the eye? We're going to use 3.14. So we're not finding the exact. So we have area equals pi r squared. We know our radius and our diameter are two things that we have to use in these formulas. And it says here the diameter is 30 miles. So if our diameter is 30 miles, what would our radius be? So I'm going to let you figure out that part. So if you'll work this one, all right, I'm going to let you work this one too. You don't have to copy the whole thing down. There's certain things that you can copy down and still get the same information that you need. It says bubble netting is a hunting technique used by humpback whales. They blow bubbles in a circular ring that drives fish toward the center of the circle. What is the area of a ring? So we want to find the area of a ring of bubbles 100 feet wide. So we know we have a circle. We know that circle. Move a couple things. We know that circle has a diameter of 100 feet. So our diameter is 100. You may or may not need to know the radius, so let you figure that out. It says, what is the area? So we're going to use pi r squared. And I also want you to find the circumference of that ring. So we know we're going to use pi times diameter. So since we are finding the circumference, you will need to know the diameter. And since we're finding the area, you will need to know the radius. So if you will work this problem, and I'm going to highlight that so you can draw that, highlight this, and highlight that so you'll know that you need to work those. And let me put a T there for feet. So if you'll work this one. All right, I want you to work this one too. It says crop circle has a diameter of 40 feet. So we have a 40-foot circle. with a diameter, or within a circle with a 40-foot diameter, and we have another one that has a diameter of 80 feet. So you have a large circle and a smaller circle. Is the area of the larger crop circle twice that of the smaller circle? So we know we have circle 1, which is larger, circle 2, which is smaller. That is the area. So for circle 1, we're going to find the area. For circle 2, we're going to find the area. Just ignore that L. So for circle 1, we have a diameter of 80 feet. So you'll need to find the radius. For circle 2, we have a diameter of 40. So you'll have to find the radius. So what I want you to do is to work circle 1, finding the area. Circle 2, if you'll find the area. And then do the final part here, where it says, is the area of the larger crop circle twice that of the smaller? So if you have the first one, and you have the second one, the first one being larger and the second one being smaller, how would we determine if it's twice that? All we're going to do is we're going to take the area for the first one, which is the big one, divide it by the area of the second one. So, is it twice? So you're going to have to work the first one out, work the second one out, and then divide your two answers. And that will determine if it's twice as large. And highlight these things so you'll get this in your notes. And then, that kind of ends what we're going to be working on with area and circumference of circles. And so now if you will work 20.2, 20.3, 20.2, and 20.3. Yesterday you had 20.1. So right now for digits, you have 20.1, you're going to have 20.2, and 20.3. And then I'm also going to put in possibly some new IXL assignments. So if you will refer to the board for IXL.